It's Marcia C, and welcome to another episode of Her Sacred Soul Space. On this episode, I am being joined by Nikki with Beautiful Soul Aura Photography. Soul
Hey,
Seekers. Hi,
how you doing?
Nikki. Good to have you, beautiful.
I'm
I
glad to
just
be
want
here.
to brag a little bit, Nikki, because I want our soul seekers to know what an amazing time I had with you recently. So I went to see Nikki to get an hour reading done, and it was just fascinating. Not only that, she has such a warmth when you go in her space. You just feel as if you know her for a long time, as we say in Jamaica. You just feel as if you've met her before, and you're just like, "Hey, girl, do we know each other?" Because we just vibing in such a beautiful space, and that is good. Whenever you go to get services done, to be able to have such a connection with the provider so you can feel safe and feel relaxed. Another thing that was even more fascinating for me is the transformation. I went in one way and came out the other way, y'all. And we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to talk about that as well in our discussion trying to understand even more. How do we become one with our aura? And how is it here to serve us while we're on our spiritual journey, while we're on our soul path? Is it the same as our energy field or even our vibe? These are some of the questions and the wisdom that we're going to garner from Nikki right after we center ourselves. And in order for us to do so, we are going to take our 3 deep breaths. And on our first breath, we are just going to get centered, close our eyes, and just release. So let's take a deep breath in and let it fill our lungs and just release by exhaling. And our second breath in, we're just going to be present, just be. And release. And on our third breath, it's a breath of gratitude. Let that fill you up and release slowly. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wagwan, Nikki, and welcome again.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. It was such an honor to meet you and to connect with you. First at the Blue Barn. Shout out to
Yes.
Gloria
Yes.
Parker, who's been having her psychic fair for over 20 years.
Yes.
So I was glad to meet you there in that
Yes.
environment because
Yes.
that's such a cool, fun environment to be
It
in.
was. It is. It
You
is.
know?
Yes. Yes.
And then when we got to connect in my office, it was so awesome. You have great energy to begin with. So it
Yeah.
was cool just to be in an energetic exchange with you. But to show you your energy was a real treat for me too. So the aura it is indeed the energetic field that surrounds our body, but it kind of operates like an antenna, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so people that have very sensitive energy empaths respond to other people's energy as it enters into your auric field. Your auric field can be very small and tight to the body, or it can be very expansive. Some of the Buddhas were known to be able to cast their auric field out for miles.
Wow.
Which is really, really powerful. But it all goes to show that with practice and knowledge, you're able to expand your auric field and to literally bring people into your energy as opposed to getting pulled into other people's energy. And so that's always a goal for me because I do have really sensitive energy, like many of my clients. And so when I go into a space, if I allowed it to, my energy could be pulled in all of these different directions. And that's when you go into these spaces. Sometimes large event spaces is a great example that hold all sorts of energy in this enclosed space. There's no windows, there's no way really for it to dissipate. And so you have these big emotions, big plays, big whatever, and all that energy is trapped in this building. So when you walk in, sometimes it feels really heavy and overwhelming and things like that. And so learning to stay in your own energetic space and to bring people that you're interacting into that space rather than to allow yourself to be pulled by either a person, place, or thing is really, really valuable. And it changes the way that you experience places, the way that you experience life, really.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
let me ask you this though. Oh, I don't know. You just went right in, and I just love that. But for those who may not know, because you were called to this, and I want you to share a little bit of your story, how you were called to this, to serve others in such a beautiful way. And you told me a little bit about it when I was there too. So talk to us about when you were a kid, and like what happened, and then how it came back to you again as an adult, and you just knew that this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do right now.
So when I was little, I could see auras, right? And it's been so cool, the reemergence. But let's talk about how it was when I was little. Um, when you're young and you see things a certain way, it's just like if you grew up in a family that's not the best, right? You don't know any different. So you don't know that other people don't see lights around things. You don't know that that's not the way that everyone perceives things. And so for the longest, I operated like, oh, well, everyone is seeing what I'm seeing. And I had no real indication to the contrary until later, until about the mid 80s, early 90s, it kind of went away. And I thought, because, I was growing up, I was born in 74. So now mid 80s, I'm going to be like 10, 11 years old.
Right.
I thought that it was maybe something you had as a child and you just outgrew it. So it never really even sparked conversation as it was starting to go away. It wasn't until years later in my mid 20s, early 20s, I walked into a store and they were doing aura photography. I had no idea what they were talking about. But when I walked in and I saw the photos, I was like, where are the plants and the animals? Like, this is cool and everything. But I was always fascinated by the animals more so than the people.
Wow.
So I was just like, oh, it's really nice. Yeah, I see the colors, but where are the animals? And they were like, do you see auras? And I told them, my experience when I was younger. And we talked about it for some time. And what we kind of zeroed in on is that it kind of went away from me at the same time that computers and cell phones and all of those were really starting to take off.
Right.
And so it is a bit of interference, right? And so since then, we have more and more and more cell towers, more and more whatever. And so it's a lot of interference. But a few years ago, when I went to the Caribbean, I went to Belize. And when I was there, I could see. There were the first thing that caught my attention was I was in the lobby of a resort and I was talking to this gentleman and his face kept changing. It was him and it was like a bird and him and a bird. And it finally, kind of settled that it was a hawk
Uh-huh.
bird, right?
Yes.
And so I'm looking at him and kind of like breaking eye contact and like looking to see if it's still there and so finally I'm like, look, I know I'm gonna sound completely crazy, but your face is doing this weird thing and you kind of look like a bird. And so of course he looked at me like I was completely crazy. And I was like, a hawk. And he was like, and it stopped him when I said specifically a hawk. When I had said the bird thing, he just was like, oh, this lady, I don't know what she smoked or whatever. But when
Right.
I said it's a hawk and it keeps happening. And he said, well, on my way here, as I was driving by, I noticed that there was a hawk tangled up in some bushes in the branches of this as the bus was going to go under. So I got out and I cut the branches so he could get through. And I was like, okay, right. So in my mind, it made sense. In his mind, I was a little less crazy. But what
Right.
happened after that was I was starting to see the auras again. I was on a retreat with a bunch of ladies, and we were out in the water, in the salt water. And I started to see colors. The first woman, it was like indigo, and I kept seeing it. And we're out on turquoise water, like it's all shades of blue around us. And so at first I was just kind of like, well, whatever. But then spirit kept going, hawk, hawk, right? Like, hello, let me remind
To
you, I just
remind
showed
you
you this
what,
man,
yes,
right?
yes.
And I was like, okay. And then as I realized it was starting to look like it did when I was younger. So
Mm.
I was made aware then that this
This
gift
is where you
hasn't gone
belong.
away. Yeah, it hasn't
Yes.
gone away. It's that where I am, I'm not able to tap into it. And yeah, that was
Yeah.
a awakening for me, and it's led to so many changes and so many things. So
That's just a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's like I was present in every juncture of your story. I could just see
yeah,
because
it
I could
was.
see the transferring of the energy from the arc to the man. And
Mhm.
for his vibration, connected to the guy's are in a way. And I also remember the first time I heard about Reiki massage and I was curious about it. And I remember when I first went to this, I looked it up on Google to see who was close to my job that I could go to. I'm an eyes girl. So I said, whose eyes were speaking to me? And this young lady eyes caught me and I went to her. And that was one of the first times she measured my energy. She used a kind of like a two, I don't like an antenna thing. And she
It's
told
called a
me,
dowsing rod.
yeah, Dawson Rod, yes. And she also said to me, your energy is so big. Like it could fill up the room and the other room, just
Mhm.
like when you say you want it that big so you could call people in your space
Yes,
versus you getting
yes,
entangled with their energy. And
yes.
and and like with that being said, can you tell us then how is it that being able to call people in your space and having control over that, how is the aura here to serve us on our spiritual path or having a knowledge of it be able to serve us through our daily routine, our mundane things?
Your aura when it's intact, I like visuals. Think of it like a screen door,
Hmm.
and everything that's coming to you is filtered through it, right? So when there are holes, it lets through things that don't belong. When you are doing shielding of your aura, you're only letting through things that are beneficial, right? And so your auric field kind of goes out behind, above, before you, and transmits information back. This is what you're about to walk into. I feel like this person's a little off. All of that's your aura doing
Hmm.
what it does. When you walk in and you feel very warm, vibes from this person, and you know that this is a safe person to talk to, and then you might get some like, leave that person alone vibes
Yes.
or what have you. That's your aura doing its thing. That's your
Yeah.
aura being like, let me see what, nah, we're good,
Hmm.
like that. And so when you are caring for your aura, because I like to think of us like a lint roller, those peel and stick lint rollers so you can get the
Yeah.
lint off.
Yeah.
So if you're that and you're walking into all of these spaces and all this stuff is sticking to you, then you have a necessity to clean your aura
Okay.
frequently. So you can
Yeah.
do that by adding like sea salt to your bath wash is a great way to do it on a daily basis. Just
Hmm.
dumping sea salt into your body scrub. You don't even have to think about it beyond that. When
Oh.
I'm in the water, I send people's energy back to them, or I'll send it to the earth if it was particularly negative energy. I don't want to reburden someone, but I don't need it.
Right. Right.
Right. So you
Right.
can send
Yes.
it back to the earth and let it do what it does. But it's important that we treat our aura and our spirituality in general, as in need of hygiene, in need of being cleansed, in need of acknowledgement for, and thanking it for the work that it does, being
Yeah.
grateful for the work that it does. And then, any holes or anything that we are aware of, doing what we need to do to address those things so that it can function in the way that it's supposed to. Because it's really a part of us that's supposed to make life easier and better and more fulfilling.
One of the things that I believe, especially from having the experience of this reading, it's when you become one with your aura and understanding it, you would able to differentiate quickly and easily whether or not you're vibing on your own frequency versus someone
Mhm.
else's. And I think this is a good thing to become accustomed to because it will help with your mental health. It would help whether or not um whether or not the thoughts or the mood switch that just suddenly happen, whether it's because of something that you are experiencing or is it something that because of the conversation you just had with Susie and everything that Susie said just came right into you. And some people as empath, we don't even know we are. And some people highly sensitive, we don't know we are. So we don't know that conversation did not stop there. It went wherever you went because it's
Mhm.
now a part of you. So I can see understanding the energy or the aura can help us in that way, especially with our mental health, which is so important to us, so that we know how to balance and get back centered to who we are called to be.
Yes. So you said two things that were interesting. One is that your aura does help you to kind of regulate what's happening, right? So if it's an antenna, it helps you to understand and it helps you kind of to filter through what's coming through. But what you were speaking of really has to do with energy transference, right? And what I like about doing the live aura readings, which is different from the aura, a static aura photo, is that you're able to see in real time what happens to your energy as we talk about different things, right? So that energy exchange, as your mind goes to wherever it goes while we're looking at your energy, you're able to see the reaction on both your aura and your chakras. And that's important because it changes your understanding of how energy operates. When you can see, when something's tracking you and you see, okay, when I listen to this song, this is what happens energetically. When I talk about this person or my work, this is what happens energetically. It allows you to see and understand the impact of that, right?
Yeah.
And then to make decisions on whether or not we want to allow those situations to remain and to continue to occur. So that's what I love about the longer sessions that I do with people. And we did a little bit of that with you. It's just as you talk about different things, seeing what happens to your energy, like what causes that energy expansion where everything is purple and it's all spirit. What were you talking about in that moment? What were you talking about when everything shut down? You
Let's
know?
talk about me. Let's talk about a little bit about when I came in, because when I came in and put my hand on the machine, I was all over the place. I was red, blue, green, purple. This I was all over the place
Because your
and
excitement.
and indeed reminded me of the chakras, just like you spoke about the chakras. And so I get to understand even more so the alignment of the auras and the chakras, you know? And being able to, when I was there and I sat with you and I recognized the different shift that was occurring, I'm now starting to think to myself, what was I thinking about? What was I thinking about in the car before I came in or on my way over there? Are those thoughts still radiating within my spirit that is causing such a fluctuation? And then knowing what you know, you made it so comfortable, like I said, and such a warmth. You started talking to me even more so. And then we saw it started calming down a little bit. And then you recognized, oh, you must be an empath. And then you said, what is this? Hold this.
Selenite.
You said, hold this. And I'm telling you, soul seekers, I held this in my hand. And before you know it, it just became one color. It just became who I was. This is me. This was Marsha. This is who
All
I am.
violet.
All
That's
violet,
right.
you know?
That's all spirit.
And I just love the importance of the colors. Can you kind of tap into those? Like, does it mean that this is who you're going to be for the remainder of the day? Or does it mean that, hey, it could change in the next hour or not, but this is more of your dormant aura frequency?
Your aura, whenever you get it photographed, whenever someone is telling you about it, it is as it is in that moment. Okay. So your aura is constantly has the ability to change, as do your chakras. They're constantly opening and closing. In the representation that we see with the equipment that I use, they look almost like little trumpets. And so they expand and they contract and they expand and they contract. And it's cool because you can see your reaction to whatever it is that you're talking about. You can see, does this cause expansion or does this cause contraction, which is something important to know. You can also see how energetic exchanges happen. So I have the ability to monitor someone that's receiving Reiki so that you're monitoring both the person performing the Reiki and the person receiving it. So you can see the energetic exchange happening on the screen, which is crazy and awesome all at the same time. But what it has led me to know is that all of these energetic things that we talk about, they are in fact real. They do cause these reactions in our body. A lot of times we're aware of them, but because the people around us aren't noticing any physical change in us, They have difficulty when you say that your mood is shifting because of this energetic thing that's happening or
Yeah.
what have you. It's very difficult to explain. And so, very often, energetically sensitive people find that as energetically sensitive as they also tend to be quite withdrawn in public situations
Hmm.
because it can be so overwhelming
Yes.
and exhausting. Like you can
Exhausting.
literally walk into a party and sit in a corner, but if your energy is highly sensitive, your energy high-fived everybody in the party. It was in the middle, it was checking it out, what's going on in the kitchen. And by the time you go home, you're exhausted, even though you
Yeah.
didn't do anything,
Yes. Yeah.
And so I love doing this work and talking to people for a variety of reasons. About 50% of the people that come in and they're like, oh my God, my energy is going to be so terrible. It's going to be black. I just know it. It's going to be black. It's never black. So that's person number one.
Okay.
And more to the point that people that are actually concerned about their energy are not going to have like really negative energy because people that have really negative energy don't give a crap
About their
about
energy.
their
Yes.
energy. Like they're
Right.
not going to be
Yeah.
the people that come in and want to know what it looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
already when you come in the door, I have an expectation. It's not quite as bad as you think it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other thing is that energetically we can look great. Like our energy can be, popping and we have our photo and we're like, we look great, don't we?
Hmm.
But we can feel crappy. Like energetically, everything can be ready to go because your aura, your chakras, everything, they are ready to reset at the drop of a hat. You play a great song, they're back in the saddle.
Hmm.
They're back in action. But mentally, we feel like, but do I really feel better? I don't
Mm.
know. And so a lot of what's happening isn't energetic issues, it's subconscious issues. It's a script that our brain has written. And
Yeah.
often in times of survival mode, in times of crisis, our brain writes a script that's very helpful in those times, but that's not needed any longer, but it's still running the same script. And
True.
so,
True.
with that, we'll go in and guided meditations can be really helpful for that. For me, hypnotherapy was life changing. So I wound up getting certified as a hypnotherapist just because the benefits in
Right.
rewriting those scripts that your brain has that are no longer beneficial to you is amazing. There is nothing like it.
That's so good to know. That is so
Mhm.
good to know. And my co-host Yolande, she's also do that work as well. So that is so great.
Yeah,
So
man.
let me ask you this because I know you've mentioned before, and you just even said meditation. Is there a particular meditation that you want to share with our soul seekers?
I'm going
Um,
to share one. It's not one that I've created, but it is one
okay.
that I find very useful that I
Okay.
share with a number of customers, and it's on eliminating negative thinking. And
Okay.
so it's what I love about it is that it's a dual voice meditation. And dual voice is super cool because, especially for people that are non neurotypical, ADD, ADHD, which so many of us suffer from, what dual voice is helpful for is because it's similar to binaural beats. You're hearing two different things in each ear. And so it
Okay.
brings the two hemispheres of the brain together so that you're able to absorb the messaging. A lot of
Mm.
times, because of the way that our brains operate, when we are trying to meditate, when we're trying to listen to something, the other half of our brain starts going, I need to be doing laundry. I mean, like I'm sitting here and this is great and everything. I know this is great for my mind, but did I start dinner? Right? That's the part of your brain that's doing that. With dual voice meditation, what's happening is there is a main voice that's speaking, but there's a second voice that comes through and kind of sweeps you back in. So when your brain is going, I
Wow.
should be thinking about dinner, that second voice will say something like, your mind may be wandering and that's okay. We're going to go back over here. And then the other, so the voices kind of just keep weaving. So as your brain starts trying to go over here, it brings you back into the fold. That's important both in meditation, that's important in doing hypnotherapy, is working with someone that kind of gets the way that your brain operates. and that it's going to take a little bit to keep bringing you back in until this becomes a habit for you.
That's
And
interesting.
yeah,
I've never
it's super cool.
experienced dual voice meditation, and it sounds good because I'm the one who's always trying to bring myself back.
Hmm.
I was like, okay,
It's
Marcia,
a lot of
focus back.
work,
Yes,
and it takes you out
focus
of the
back on the
meditation.
breathing. Yeah, it does.
Right.
And sometimes when you're back into the rhythm, before you know it, the meditation is over.
Yeah,
You
now you
know,
missed it.
yes.
Right. And
And
now you feel
so,
guilty. Now that wasn't the goal of meditation, but now we feel crappy because we attempted to meditate.
yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yes,
avoids a lot of that.
yeah.
And
That would
it
be
makes
super
it so that you
interesting.
want to do it more. You know what I mean? Like no one
Okay.
wants to feel like they fail at anything. So we often start things and stop them before we become successful because it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Right. And we've
Okay.
been taught that we should be perfectionists and that we should be great at everything we try within the first 2 to 3 times. That's not how it works.
No,
It's
no,
just not how
no.
it works. You
Yeah.
know, meditation starts working when you are broken and you think that nothing will work ever. Then that's when it starts working.
Yes, yes. And you have to learn to have patience with yourself. That is a very big must and a plus. And so
And
this
forgiveness.
and forgiveness.
Right, like
Yes.
forgiveness, an
Yes.
acknowledgement that I'm human, right? And I'm going
Hmm.
to make mistakes. And if you can start forgiving yourself, forgiving other people becomes that much easier,
Much
you
easier.
know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I forgive myself 5, 6, 7 times a day. And once I
Yeah.
started doing that, and I mean like literally walking up to the mirror and be like, I forgive you. I don't even know what you messed up yet, but I forgive you anyway. But I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like you have to
Yes. It
get
sounds
that
good.
real
Yeah.
with yourself
Yeah.
because if you don't
Mhm.
love yourself like that, then you don't have anything to give to anybody else. Not anything worth giving,
Yeah.
right? Because, how can you forgive someone else? How can you allow someone else to be human? How can you allow them just to be if you can't give that to yourself, if you can't allow it for yourself?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we're like, no, I hold myself to this much higher standard and I forgive everyone else. No, you publicly say you forgive everyone else, but you are keeping a list of their
And
faults.
yes, inside. Mhm.
Yeah.
Unless they show up in a way that you think is
Mhm.
deserving or it satisfy your
Your
need of
your requirements, your script
yes, yes,
requirements. Like the whole
yes.
thing is we have all written a play and assigned people roles and stuff
Girl.
that they don't know nothing about. They come in
Yes.
and you supposed to hit this script right here. We on page 57, midway to
Yes.
page, and this
Yeah.
is where you say, but they didn't get the script.
True. True.
So a lot of times you're left in this like, they didn't say
Yeah.
the line. When they
Yeah.
said that, I was going to say this. And that's what was going to fix it all together.
Right.
Now you got
Right.
to take whatever they did say
Yeah.
and
That's
try
why I
to
always
respond.
say this. I don't see or hear words. I feel it. Because
Yeah.
if the words doesn't come out the way I want it to, the energy will still give me this. If it's the same vibration, it's the same feeling, if the same intent,
Yes.
I will know because I'm gonna feel
Right.
it because I don't have to hear it. The vibration comes within me and I said, okay,
Learning that and to be able to do that and to learn that half the things that you ask for will not come in the way that you expect it to come. That doesn't mean it doesn't come. It just means it's not in the gift wrap or the gift bag that you expected it to be in. It's wrapped somewhere else. It's under the tree. It's over here. It's over there. But the things that you ask for and attempt to manifest, 9 times out of 10, they do show up. We don't even recognize it,
true,
you
true. This
know?
is so good. This is so good. So, Soul Seekers, we are going to put the link for that meditation from
Mhm.
Nikki in a description box, along with her information as well. So you'll be able to go to Nikki to get your reading done. It's such an amazing experience. I'm telling you, you want to try it. If you're in the Atlanta area, go in person.
If you're in the Atlanta area, sooner is better because at the end of the summer, I'll be relocating. So I hope to see everybody soon. And I'm going to be adding some components to that. End of summer, we'll have some equipment that'll allow, when we're doing the energy readings, that'll allow for voice analysis so that we can
Mm.
come up with some things for you to listen to afterwards to kind of
Ooh,
balance you back out. So,
that sounds
yeah,
yummy.
I'm
Yummy, yummy,
so
yummy.
excited. I'm so
Okay.
excited about all the tools, man.
Oh God, I'm so excited for you. And I totally wish you all the best on your next endeavor. And I know just like how I felt being in your space, everyone that comes in your space is going to want to become even more so a part of your community. Because I mean, you have that about you. This is really where you belong. You were called to help people to understand this part of who they are and how it can serve them in the way that it's called to serve them. So thank you so much, Nikki, for being here and for spending time with me. And before I go, this is the affirmation card I got today. And it says,
Ooh.
I bring peace with me wherever I go. And
Yes.
that's the type of vibration we want to give out.
Yes.
So just bring that peace with you, soul seekers, wherever
Yes,
you
bring
go.
that peace wherever you go,
Yes.
and your
Yeah.
path will await you.
Await you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. And until we meet again, one love and walk good. Remember, soul seekers, see your light and be your light. Bye.
Bye.